my name is Denise and welcome back to my channel. I'm glad you're here today. Let the record show that this would be the 6th time that I have gone to film this video. Cross your fingers, kids. Let's see how this pans out. This video is about self-esteem. Interestingly enough, because I've done this so many freaking times, I feel like my self-esteem has been plummeting. And then I went to put on my Batman shirt today and it didn't even fit. I got a little ponytail going on today, as you can tell. Can you see it? I don't know. I can't tell. I don't have my glasses on. So let's get right into it. I'm not even going to go to a commercial break. The first thing I want to do is identify what exactly self-esteem is. The definition of self-esteem is how much you value yourself, how much confidence you have, and do you actually like the skin that you're in? Show of hands who's had some low self-esteem before. I mean, we're human. There's good days and there's bad days. Now that we have established what self-esteem is, there is something that I heard so powerful the other day that I'd like to share with you before we even get into the nooks and crannies of this video. And that is, one of the major reasons for depression is because people do not follow their heart's desire, and they always have this sense of something that is missing. Well, smack me in the face with a cactus branch, because when I heard that, that totally resonated. Now, I need to let you know who that came from. I've been listening to a woman by the name of Marissa Peer. She's magnificent. I will leave some information about her on my Jumbotron somewhere so you can actually take a listen to what she has to say. You will not be disappointed if you are in the self-help realm, which you probably are because you wouldn't have clicked on this video. The best way for me to talk to you about self-esteem today is to relate myself. Story time, kids, so sit down, relax, and listen up. My story began when I started to realize that I was getting older and I wasn't even near accomplishing the goals that I had set in my mind. Cue the panic attacks. Unfortunately, my body has a strange way of working, most bodies do. When your lifestyle doesn't match up to the way that you're thinking, something is going to go wrong. Perhaps you end up with panic attacks, or maybe something happens that actually is a culmination of your life not being the result of what your mind is thinking and the way you expect things to happen. There's no unity. So to get back to my story, when I realized that my life was not exactly where I wanted it to be, there are quite a few things that I started to do. One of the biggest things was I started to make behavioral changes. The first thing that I did was I quit vaping. The second thing that I did was a 28-day juice cleanse. The next thing that I did was I became a vegetarian. Then I moved into being a vegan. And then after all of that happened, I decided that I needed to find a way to eat properly to fuel my body so that I could be a skinny bitch. I found a wonderful program, Weight Watchers of course. So you'll see all of these behavioral changes that I had made. That was what was going on the outside. On the inside was quite truthfully where I think the real transformation started to begin. Every time that I would conquer one of my bad habits, I started to feel a little bit better about myself. When I put the vape down, I felt so proud of myself. I started smoking when I was about 11 or 12 years old, and it was something that was on me forever. And when I finally put it down, I felt a sense of pride. I felt so accomplished that I can actually do this. Then when I started to do the 28-day juice cleanse, I got a lot of pushback. People thought I was batshit crazy, batshit crazy, batshit crazy. Perhaps I am, but that's not this video's topic today. In my mind, the 28-day juice cleanse was to reset my body. It was also to jumpstart my weight loss. After I finished my 28-day juice cleanse, I felt even more proud. I felt accomplished. Then I became vegetarian and vegan, and that was an ethical thing for me when I started to realize what was going on in our factory farming. And then when it came to losing weight consistently and keeping it off, it was almost like it was a no-brainer. It was going to happen. I had already accomplished all of these really hard goals that I set for myself behind me. During this entire time, there were certain things that kept cropping up for me. Now, I obviously am really big into the self-help arena. I like to read books on self-help. I like to watch videos on self-help. I like to be around people who are constantly trying to better themselves and become the best version of the person that they want to be. So the mental aspect of it for me was overcoming hurdles that I didn't think that I could do before. So here is the piece de resistance of this entire video. One of the most important things that I wanted to relate to you today. The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. The man is a genius. Fabulous book, highly recommended. Do yourself a favor, get yourself a copy of it. Or the CDs. How this ended up happening for me is I told my student about the 4 agreements. She said, hold that thought. She ran outside, came back in, and had the CD set right in front of me and said, please listen to this, and when you're done with it, pay it forward. You sneaky little universe, you are always conspiring in my favor. I see you. I was so grateful for that. So what I did was I took those CDs, I put them in my CD player, and I listened to them for a year and a half. That's right. And magically, every single time I got into my car, the CD would start playing, and it was exactly what I needed to hear. So let's talk about those 4 agreements. The first agreement in the 4 agreements is be impeccable with your word. Mean what you say what you mean. Stop pussyfooting around any situation where you have feelings and you need to share them. Open your mouth and let it out. So we have these energy centers in our body, and when we store our energy places, it manifests itself into dis-ease. Yes, disease. You don't want that. So make sure whatever it is that you're feeling, that you have in your mind, in your body, in your heart, in your throat, wherever it is, let it out. Say it. What's the worst thing that could happen? Being impeccable with our words not only means talking about how you feel and sharing exactly what's on your mind, it is also not gossiping. Gossip is toxic. Use your word to spread love and truth, not toxicity and ugly. The second agreement, don't take anything personal. This one was huge for me. While I was going through the process of changing things, I received a lot of pushback. And the pushback came in the form of the crazy I was talking about before. Now, I play into that really well. I've worn that badge, for lack of a better word, for most of my life. People think I'm crazy. However, there is a method to my madness. I knew where I was going and what I wanted to do. Maybe the things that I was doing seemed extreme to them, but their words were no longer going to stop me. I will not allow anyone else's feelings dictate how I feel about myself and the way that I run my life. And I can confidently say that to you, and I will confidently say that to you tomorrow. Now, that's not to say that I don't understand where people are coming from, to open up my ears and listen to the feedback that they have. I'm not belligerent about the fact that people have opinions and they want to voice them to me, but I am promising you, I will never allow someone's feelings towards me allow me to feel any less about myself. Not gonna happen. People show up in life with their own and they try to make you carry their too. Not my job, man. What people do is because of the way that they think in their mind. So it's never about you. And another little simple addition I'd like to add, I don't subscribe to what other people think of me. Quite frankly, it is none of my business. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. That's another one. These 2 agreements right smack in the middle of 1 and 4 were really hard lessons for me to learn. Don't make assumptions. Here's a perfect example. Pretty much everyone in this world is on social media. And if someone writes as a post, have a nice day, the person who is looking at that can take it any way that they want to. You can take it as, what do you mean by that? Why are you saying it that way? Are you being sarcastic? Is that a facetious comment? This is the biggest way that arguments start. You have no idea what this person's meaning is behind what they're saying. And to assume that they're being sarcastic towards you or they're directing their feelings towards you, man, that just makes for a world of nonsense. I have no time for that. And to be quite honest with you, when I made this realization and I really ingested that don't make assumptions, it was freeing for me to feel this way. That I don't know what you're thinking, don't know what you're feeling, don't know why you said that, but I'm just gonna let that be. I'm gonna let that lie. It is so empowering to not make assumptions. Do yourself a favor, just try that one on for size. Walk around with it a little bit, see how it feels, maybe move around. Just try it on, see how it works for you. And the fourth and final agreement of the 4 agreements are, always do your best. Now let's be clear about this last agreement. Every time that I start my yoga class, I say to my students, there are two things that you are in charge of in this world. That is your attitude and your effort. What you put into it is exactly what you get out of it. Sometimes when you show up and you haven't had enough sleep, your effort and your attitude are completely different when you have a full night's rest. Sometimes you show up and you're hungry and you're lonely and you're not feeling your best. Obviously, your effort and your attitude are not going to look the same if you have fed yourself properly and you are taking care of your emotional well-being. One of the hardest things for humans to do is to actually forgive themselves. That's really difficult. It's almost like you can forgive someone far more easier than you can forgive yourself. And perhaps the thing that that person did was far worse than the thing that you did. So let's work on forgiveness. So I do have to mention that I did a video on breathing techniques on this Jumbotron somewhere. I've left a little link for you to go and look into my breathing technique video. This will help you when it comes to showing up with your best effort and your best attitude and to help calm your mind. So make sure that you understand what your best looks like on any given day and be okay with the way that looks on you. I obviously have a yoga practice. One of the things that my yoga practice has allowed me to do is to calm my mind. You need to shut this thing up going on upstairs. And if you drift off, because you will, just come right back to it. You know when a toddler falls down because he didn't learn how to walk properly yet, he doesn't stay down. He's not gonna be rolling around for the rest of his life. He's gonna get up and figure out how to freaking walk. Find the same tenacity that those little people have. Find the same tenacity that you had. It's in you. I know it is. You can fix your wounds. You are in charge. Don't let anyone tell you differently. You're sitting in the driver's seat. You've got the steering wheel in your hands. So where are you gonna go today? In closing, own who you are and rock what you got. And if all else fails, then go and put on your superhero t-shirt. Find your inner superhero. I'm trying to find my tribe. If this video resonates with you, then you have to subscribe. Thank you all so very much for watching. Namaste.